What if I told you that the greatest prison in your life is invisible? That the bars holding you aren't made of iron, but of thoughts, emotions, and fears you carry yourself? Imagine for a moment, who is the jailer of this prison? The answer might surprise you. It's you. You live. You go through your routine, make choices, dream, plan. But are you really in control? Or is there a force inside you deciding everything before you even realize it? Nietzsche, the philosopher unafraid of harsh truth, said that whoever does not command themselves will be commanded by others. It's harsh, but true. Carl Jung, who dove deep into the human mind, revealed that everything you don't bring to the light of consciousness ends up ruling you like an inevitable fate. And Machiavelli, the master of power strategies, warns us that whoever does not master their own emotions is doomed to be manipulated by them, whether by others or by themselves. You might think this is something from another world, something distant, but the truth is that we're all in this silent battle all the time. The question I want you to ask yourself now is simple yet powerful. Who is governing your life at this very moment? Is it you, or is it the impulses you don't understand, the fears you don't face, the shadows you don't know? The answer lies within you, and that's why today we're going on a deep journey, a journey that will show you how to master yourself or inevitably be mastered. Prepare to look inward with courage, to confront your fears, your doubts, and to understand what these three giants of thought, Nietzsche, Jung, and Machiavelli, can teach us about power, control, and true freedom. If you've ever felt there's something inside you stopping you from being who you truly want to be, this video is for you. Shall we go together? Have you ever felt that inside you there's a silent war? Not a war of weapons or shouts, but one that happens in the silence of your mind and the whirlwind of your emotions. It's as if several versions of yourself are fighting for space and control. One part wants to move forward, grow, be more, and another wants to hide, run away, protect itself from what scares it. Carl Jung called this hidden part the shadow. It's everything you suppress, everything you don't want to see in yourself because it hurts, causes shame, guilt, or fear. Maybe you've never stopped to think about it, or maybe you try to ignore it when it shows up. But it's there, always, invisible yet influential. This dark side isn't an enemy to be destroyed as many think. It's a part of you crying out for attention, carrying old wounds, forgotten traumas, unprocessed emotions. And worst of all, until you look at it, it will decide things for you. Through impulses, automatic reactions, patterns that repeat without you understanding why. How many times have you caught yourself acting in a way you didn't want, saying something you later regretted, or even avoiding situations because of a fear you can't quite explain? That's the power of the shadow, working behind the scenes. Nietzsche reminds us that humans are beings in constant conflict. Not perfect machines, but battlefields between opposing forces. It's not about separating good from evil, but understanding that inside you there's an ongoing dialogue between who you are and who you fear becoming. Imagine there's a rope inside you pulled in opposite directions. On one side, the desire for freedom, autonomy, creation. On the other, fear, insecurity, doubt that keeps you stuck in habits, in suffocating comfort zones. This tension shapes your life. And here's the cruel paradox. The more you try to run from this inner conflict, the more it grows. Because what you ignore doesn't disappear. It becomes a bigger shadow, a louder voice, a more persistent energy. Life will force you to face it through pain, failure, or the repetitions you don't understand. Most people spend their whole lives blaming the world for their problems, the boss, family, society, luck. It's easier to point outside than to look inside. But the hard truth is, the chaos that most disrupts your life is born within. So, the first step to mastering yourself is this. Recognize you're at war with yourself. Not to blame yourself, but to understand yourself. To become friends with what used to be an invisible enemy. This recognition isn't comfortable. It demands courage to look at what you don't want seen, to admit your own limitations, faults, deepest fears. But it's in this moment that true freedom begins. Because only when you bring your shadow into the light of consciousness does it lose the power to control you. You stop being a hostage to emotions you don't understand and gain the ability to choose. And it's not just about understanding, it's about acceptance. Accepting that inside you exists a complexity that can't be solved with simple formulas, that your human nature is full of contradictions, and that true power lies in embracing all of it without denial. Nietzsche challenges us to go beyond mere acceptance. He wants you to transform this conflict into strength, to take this inner tension which seems to destroy you and use it to rise, to reinvent yourself. Mastering yourself, then, is not about having a clean, conflict-free mind. That's impossible. It's about learning to live with this chaos, to govern this internal battlefield so it propels you instead of paralyzing you.
This is the invitation I make to you. Stop fighting yourself. Start observing, understanding, negotiating. Only then will you conquer the only war that truly matters. If the first step to mastering yourself is facing the inner conflict, the next is understanding that inside you there is an even greater force, a pulsating will, an energy seeking to grow, expand, overcome. Nietzsche called this the will to power. But beware, it's not about power over others, external domination, or an inflated ego. The true will to power is the ability to overcome yourself, expand your own limits, transform weaknesses into strength. It's this force that pushes us to get up after a fall, to seek meaning even when everything seems lost, to create purpose amid chaos. Have you ever felt, maybe in a moment of crisis, an energy inside you that seemed to say, "I can go beyond, I can be more"? That is the will to power speaking. But it's not a simple or gentle force. It's a flame that burns everything that holds you back, demanding sacrifice, pain, and courage. It's a call to leave mediocrity, the comfort zone, to face the unknown, including within yourself. Imagine a caterpillar that feels the need to become a butterfly. To do this, it must break the cocoon, a painful and demanding process. But it's this very breaking that enables flight. Such is the will to power, a force that calls us to deep transformation, urging us to break internal chains so we can fly. Nietzsche goes further and says this transformation isn't for everyone. Many prefer the safety of the known, even if it means living a limited, repetitive, inauthentic life. But for those who accept the challenge, the will to power becomes a compass. It guides your choices, even when everything seems uncertain. This force invites us to take full responsibility for who we are and who we want to be, no longer blaming the past, the environment, or circumstances. The power lies within, waiting to be awakened. It's a constant struggle between the desire to grow and the internal forces trying to stop that growth: fear, doubt, self-sabotage. But here is the most liberating truth. You don't need to be perfect to start this journey. The will to power doesn't demand a flawless hero, but a warrior who rises day after day, even when defeat seems certain. By accepting this struggle, you begin to build a new self, a self that is no longer a hostage to the past, that does not bow to imposed limitations, that embraces its own strength. Nietzsche challenges us to say yes to life with all its paradoxes and pains. Because it is in this yes that real power is born, the power to create, transform, and live fully. Are you ready to hear this call? Are you willing to accept that inside you exists this force waiting to be unleashed? This is the true internal revolution, awakening the will to power and using it to govern your life instead of being ruled by fear and shadows. If Nietzsche presents to us the will to power, the inner force that drives us to grow, and Jung shows us the conflict and shadow we need to face, Machiavelli gives us the map for action. He does not speak only of political power or external manipulation. His legacy goes much further. It is a science of power, and the first battlefield is within ourselves.
To govern oneself is not just an act of emotional courage, it is an intelligent and constant strategy. It is knowing your own internal territories deeply, your strengths, weaknesses, desires, and limits, to make decisions that keep your power intact. Machiavelli teaches that to be a good prince, one must be astute and strategic. And this lesson applies to your inner life as well. Those who do not know their own impulses, weaknesses, and blind spots will always be vulnerable to their own emotions and to external gains. To govern oneself means, above all, to observe without judgment what happens inside you. It is to notice when anger wants to take control, when fear tries to paralyze you, when anxiety tries to disconnect you from the present. This is strategic self-knowledge, knowing the terrain so you won't be caught off guard. But knowing is not enough. The art of governing also involves discipline, knowing when to act, when to retreat, how to use your energy consciously. Like a general who chooses his battles to avoid wasting strength, you need to learn to manage your impulses. Imagine your mind as a kingdom. If you let every fleeting emotion or negative thought loot the city, you will never have peace or growth. Machiavelli would say you must be firm, even ruthless with yourself when necessary, to maintain order and power. That is why emotional discipline is so vital. It is not about repressing feelings, but controlling them, being their master, so they serve you, not the other way around. To govern oneself is also to know how to adapt. Machiavelli emphasized the importance of political flexibility to survive difficult times. Within you, this means learning to change strategies, accepting your temporary limitations, and evolving with circumstances. Do not expect rigid, inflexible control. The true internal sovereign knows when to be firm and when to be flexible, when to act with courage and when to wait. And here comes one of the greatest challenges. This art is a daily battle, demanding attention and commitment. It is not a one-time achievement or a permanent state. It is a constant practice, an exercise of presence and vigilance. To govern yourself is to choose daily consciousness over automatic reaction, reason over impulse, strategy over raw emotion. This is the foundation of real freedom, the freedom to decide who you want to be, not the automatic reaction to what happens outside or inside. Are you willing to be the sovereign of your internal kingdom? To govern your emotions, thoughts, and actions with intelligence and courage? Because without this art, all the will to power and shadow recognition may be in vain. Without strategy and discipline, internal power escapes and you become dominated again. We have reached a crucial point in our journey, the moment when the ideas of these three giants of thought intertwine and show us the path to true transformation. Nietzsche gave us the fire of the will to power, the force that calls us upward, that urges overcoming and creation. Jung brought us the key to face internal shadows, that hidden territory we need to bring to light so we aren't ruled by it. And Machiavelli taught us the art of strategy, the discipline to govern ourselves so that this internal power does not slip away. But how to unite all this in a daily practice that really changes your life? The answer lies in integration, recognizing that these three forces are not opposites but complementary. You need the courage to face your shadows, the flame to rise, and the strategy to govern your own soul. Let's start with courage. It is what makes you look into the mirror of your soul, even when the image is uncomfortable. It is Jung telling you, do not run from what you fear, for there lies your freedom. But courage without action is just a fleeting feeling. Nietzsche reminds us that we must go beyond courage. We need will to power. We must act, create, transform. Feel that force burning in your chest, telling you that you can be more than you have been. And this action needs to be guided. Here comes Machiavelli's strategy: conscious planning, mastery of emotions and impulses that could sabotage your journey.
Imagine a warrior who knows his weaknesses but has a plan to use them in his favor, who is not carried away by fear but knows when to retreat to advance stronger, who has discipline to stay focused even when temptations appear. This is the synthesis of self-mastery: courage to face the shadow, strength to rise, wisdom to govern oneself. It is a process that never ends because life is a constant battle between growth and resistance, and it is precisely this battle that shapes us. By integrating these teachings, you build an invisible but powerful armor, capable of protecting you from external and internal attacks. You stop being a victim of circumstances and take the role of protagonist of your story. This integration is the essence of true freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to choose your destiny, even when everything inside and outside of you tries to stop you. It is the transformation that happens when you stop running and start governing your mind, your emotions, your life. This journey can be arduous. You will stumble, feel fear, face doubts. But with every step, every internal victory, you get closer to what Nietzsche calls the overman, the one who transcends limitations and creates his own path. The question remains, are you ready for this journey? To integrate courage, strength, and strategy and become master of yourself? If the answer is yes, then you are on the path to mastering yourself and thus never being mastered. We reach the end of this journey, but in reality, it is just the beginning. Because mastering yourself is not a goal to be reached once, but a path to be walked day after day. You saw that inside you there is a battlefield where courage faces the shadow, where the will to power fights doubt, where strategy governs impulses. Now, the essential question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep letting chance, fear, and the hidden forces of your mind decide your fate? Or will you take control, govern your internal kingdom with wisdom and courage? Nietzsche, Jung, and Machiavelli give us more than theories. They give us a call to action. To act with courage, to look inward without fear, to plan and govern with discipline. Don't expect life to become easy. Don't expect change without effort. But know that true freedom, true strength is born exactly from this effort, from the commitment to yourself, to rise every time you fall, to transform even when it hurts. Mastering yourself is a revolutionary act. It is saying no to everything that diminishes you, paralyzes you, binds you. It is choosing to be the protagonist of your story, the creator of your destiny. So, my final invitation to you is simple. Start now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. Look inward, recognize your conflicts, awaken your will to power, and govern yourself with wisdom. This is the only way to ensure you will never be dominated, neither by others nor by yourself. The decision is in your hands.